folks. Welcome back to the Field and Garden Podcast. It is your friend, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I am really glad you have chosen to join me here because I do know you have a choice. And it is not lost on me that we have so many listeners. We just hit our 100,000 download mark, and I am just over the moon about that. So I want to just express the gratitude that I have for all the support, for all these things that we put out. So, folks, I want to share a little story. I'm sitting here preparing content for Flower Farming School, or actually marketing content, right? And one of the things that I have learned through the years, whether it be through coaching or through listening and working with my friends that have so much more experience than me, and in fact, even my own family, because I have a huge entrepreneurial family, lots of super successful business owners and leaders, and I've just learned a couple of things through all of this. And as I was writing this email, I thought, you know what? I am just going to make a little, instead of writing it in an email, this little story I'm getting ready to tell you, I'm going to put it on podcast. And the epiphany for me, because I think you might be surprised to learn that I'm really quite a user of excuses. I've always been one to say, oh, but you can't do that, or oh, no, you can't do that because. And then through my years of becoming a business owner and learning about a lot of different things that sometimes they didn't seem like they were really going to directly affect my business, but come to find out, as it is always, other people know more than you, and they were right. I needed to learn those things. Well, one of those things that I have learned that really changed the way I approach particularly new things, and I try to help other people see this also, is that most often our fears are camouflaged as something else. And for those, what I'm talking about is, as I'm, talking to people about joining Flower Farming School or becoming a student and enrolling, they have a whole laundry list of reasons why they can't do it. I'm not talking about a sales talk, y'all. I'm talking about in conversation with people about, oh yeah, I have always wanted to become a flower farmer. And in fact, I pursued it for a while, but I can't be a flower farmer because of XYZ or ABC or DEF. I mean, I've heard all kinds of reasons that we then blow up so big, they're mountains in front of us that we couldn't possibly get around. But friends, I am here to tell you that what I have learned is so often the case with those kinds of, I can't do it because, or I'm not ready, or I'm not ready is a huge one. I'm practicing this year. Is, friends, we are camouflaging fears. I can't even tell you how, once I realized this and applied it in my own life, that when I start procrastinating, making reasons why I can't or shouldn't or couldn't, I immediately say to myself, what am I afraid of? Right? I mean, isn't that eye-opening? And, I just really want everybody just to stop and think about that for just a minute. And, I'm pretty much known for saying things the way I see them. And so often I find that in talking to students that have taken our courses in previous years, and they have not shared previously until they took the course and are in their business and things are moving and going and they're just, kind of embracing the whole I'm in business now thing and having success and certainly facing challenges and holes along the way. But it's not until after all that is passed that they're willing to share that they had a whole laundry list of reasons why they shouldn't do it. And it was only after hearing my story of how absolutely terrified I was in the beginning were they willing to scoot off the ledge and jump. And so that's what I want to do. I want to tell you, so for those, so I'll just give you an overview of my story. So I was a home gardener, barely a home gardener, a novice gardener, and happened to meet this amazing guy. He was a biker guy, girls and guys. He was a hottie, no doubt, which was really even more surprising for me to discover he was a huge gardener, right? So I met this guy, discovered that he was a huge gardener. We hit it off. I, pursued him for sure. And we started dating, and then we were going to get married. It was like a year later. And soon after we got married, I discovered the Flower Farmer book by Len Basinski, which I know has just launched the majority of flower farmers in this country and around the world, really. And so I launched my business. Barely a gardener, y'all. But I did have business experience, so maybe that's what really helped me do it. But here's the thing. So I planted my first commercial garden in August and September of 1997 or 98. I can never remember. Anyway, so it was a cool flower garden. Of course, we didn't call it cool flowers back then. It was just cool season hardy annuals, and it's all I could find that I could plant at that time of the year. So I planted this great big garden full of, sweet peas and sweet William and Rudbeckia, and this homestead that Steve came with, another bonus, his gardening dowry, right, was that it had lots of hydrangeas and lily of the valley and a lot of heirloom daffodils. So that following spring, my garden started blooming. And just about every night at the dinner table, Stevie would say, "When are you going to take those flowers down to the florist?" Now, keep in mind, I had been stalking a florist. Just like Lynn's book suggested, find a shop that all the upscale people use. You're not looking for a little mom and pop shop that just kind of makes the same arrangement over and over. You wanted people that did volume and did a lot of variety of types of events and served people that would recognize the flowers that you would be growing. So I spent all winter, y'all, all winter. Fortunately, this shop that I was stalking was actually in a big garden center. You know how that kind of happened back then in the early 2000s and in the late 90s is garden centers started adding so much stuff beyond a garden center, right? They became a gift shop. They added flower shops. They added restaurants. They became these things. So that really allowed me to go down there and literally I would grab a shopping cart. And I'm not a shopper, y'all. I would take that cart and just peruse the gift area, which fortunately was right there where the flower shop was. And it was huge, the gift shop. And I would just go up and down those aisles watching the flower department. Literally. Stalking is what they would call it today. I'd probably been arrested by now, right? So I was watching who was in charge. How many flowers did they buy? What was in their cooler? How were the flowers packaged? What were they doing? Who came in there? I mean, I was literally watching the whole thing unfold. So, I would do that like one day a week all winter long while that garden that I'd planted in the fall was out here freezing to death, right? But still alive. So Steve started asking, so when are you going to do that? And I had a whole battery of excuses. First off, that was the year that my mom and her twin sister turned 70. And we planned this enormous party here at our house. I mean, people were coming from all over the country, and they got married. They were born May 8th. I say that and question it now. My mom's been gone for several years. Anyway, so it was early May. Let's just go with that, right? And so I was tied up. I was busy, and I used that excuse about that party. Oh, I've got to do this for the party. I've got to do that for the party. And keep in mind, I had a full-time job back then. I was still the business manager of a busy animal hospital, which I absolutely love my job. So I was kind of doing this on the side, right? I was hustling during the day, leading this office of 20 people, and then coming home and doing the flower farming thing. So I had every excuse known to mankind. You know, I'm not sure I'm ready. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go check out down there again and see when the guy that seems to be in charge is there. Y'all, I had so many excuses. But here's the bottom line. I was blooming terrified that I was going to walk in there with my flowers, and they were going to look at me and look at my flowers and look up and say, "Why would you think we would want your garden flowers when we have this over here?" And that's it. I was so afraid of being wrong. I was so afraid of looking foolish. I was so afraid of looking like a loser. I was so afraid of everything, y'all. And so I don't remember if Steve and I talked about that or not. But it didn't take long. And you have to remember that, Steve and his family have been in business since 1969. While back then, I don't think Steve really realized how much business experience and savviness he had from all those years of living in this family, of a small family business, and being a part of it. How much of that he had soaked up and taken in. And so I think I must have said at the dinner table one night, what if I go down there and they don't want my flowers? Then what the heck am I going to do? Right? What the heck am I going to do? And he just kind of pushed his plate back. And y'all have to also know that my man is a man of few words. He doesn't, I fill in the gaps for him, as you can imagine. But he pushed his plate back and he said, "Babe, you go down there and offer them your flowers. And if they don't want your flowers, we'll just never, ever go back there again or shop there again." Y'all, that simple statement just pushed the boulders off my shoulders. Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? I was so afraid of going down there and having them reject me. And I guess Steve's saying that we would just never go back there again. You would never have to face those people again. Just liberated me to actually do it. So that's what actually finally got me moving. So, I still had my moments. He'd come home the next day. "Did you go today?" "No, I didn't go today. I had to work today." "Well, you don't work at that office on Tuesdays. Are you going on Tuesday?" I'd say, "Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going down there on Tuesday." And y'all, this is also, Steve would called me that Tuesday morning and literally had to talk me into the car. And back then, I didn't even drive his pickup truck yet, which, I've told that story so many times about the delivery truck of his that I used, which was just a pickup truck. I put those flowers in the back seat of my 4-door sedan seat belted the buckets in, and went down there. And then I sat outside of the shop, I bet you for 30 minutes, just going over in my mind, what was I going to say? What was I going to do? I mean, are y'all surprised by how scared to death I was? Being afraid is not unique to you. And if you talk to many people thinking of doing something new, like maybe starting a business, and that business happened to be a flower farming business, those are kind of big bites to chew. There is reason to be afraid. But what I want to say to you is, I want to be your Steve. I want to be that person that we equip you in flower farming school. And then if you're not equipped through the lessons, there's Q&As each week that you can ask more questions. Not to mention that we have that optional closed Facebook group where you can't imagine the support of your classmates that happen during school. And then when we dump you into the alumni Facebook group with all of my students from the previous years that choose to be a part of the optional group, you won't imagine how you pull your big girl pants up and they stay up. I mean, there's just really no other way to say it. The story after story, and every time I read one of these stories on our Facebook group, or somebody emails us with these heartwarming stories of, oh my gosh, I just went to the first florist and they bought everything I had and they were so excited about what I have and they want to buy more, and they asked me what was I growing. I'm like so stoked now that I'm up here, I'm in the seed catalog again. Do you know what I mean? It's like sharing your fears and your successes is what makes this group of committed people so very amazing. And so what's different about the Flower Farm in School community is we have a lot of people that are just like you, perhaps, that you're now realizing that your laundry list of why you can't start now or shouldn't start now is just really because you're terrified of something. That there's other people that have already overcome that and that are willing to help you and support you. It's life-changing, y'all. It's business-changing. Some of the things that I read and see just pumps you up. So I'm just looking at this little list of, this is something that a student wrote actually 2 years ago that I pulled up and found. My market bouquet sales went up 338% this year. That's incredible. And these are just one-liners that she sent to me. You're right. You always need the cover crop seed on hand. Thank you. This place has literally exploded. I honestly had no clue what I was doing last fall, but I've sold almost every stem I've cut. I can't even believe how much I have learned. Watching you put up a tunnel in 7 minutes has saved me 20 hours of physical labor. Thank you forever and ever. There's just, each one of us faces a different level of experience, a different level of knowledge. And so there might be some parts of this course that you think, I don't need to watch that or see that. But sometimes, because I still learn from my students even, y'all. I mean, I'm still learning from other growers, but even from students offering and saying, hey, I did it this way and it worked awesome. We have to have an open mind to move forward. And you never know where people are coming from. So friends, I'm here to tell you that if you're figuring out that fear is what's holding you back, we can tackle that hook, line, and sinker and get it out of here. And I just really hope that this might give you a little courage to tackle your fear and to jump on board wherever you feel like you want to jump on board. Whether you are on the fence about my course, Flower Farming School Online, the basics, annual crops, marketing, and more, or maybe it's one of our other courses, Farmer Florist School, all the business side of becoming a farmer florist, y'all. Change your life, what Jenny Love shares in that course. Or maybe you want to do hoop and greenhouses and expand. You're already growing. You want to expand what you're growing and how long you can grow. Stephen Gretel's course, Grow and Cut Flowers in Hoop and Greenhouses, will explode your mind. And, maybe flower farming is not the right thing for you. That's what Ellen Frost learned when she started dabbling over, almost a decade and a half ago. She thought she wanted to be a flower farmer, but guess what she discovered? She wanted to be a designer and have a design studio that only uses locally sourced flowers. And that's what her 13-year-old business is all about now, and that's what she shares in her course. She trains designers and florists how they can connect, connect and buy and sell and market and build a niche on local flowers. Y'all, we all have fears, but you don't need to be fearful. We're all in this together. So friends, thegardenersworkshop.com is where you'll find tons of information. And I hope that this will help you face that laundry list you have. And I don't even know that you need to figure out what you're actually afraid of. You just need to know it's a fear. And that fear is not... Fear we can kick to the curb. We can do that. So friends, until we meet again, ciao.